Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and welcome back to my N.A.R.D playthrough series. So today we're going to do page 41, and that was a solo called Hit the Diddles. This is a tricky little solo because of the stickings involved. Lots of, double strokes, lots of obviously paradiddle stickings, hence the title. So you need to be careful with these triplet figures in the beginning that they don't rush. Now, the second part of this solo is especially difficult because of the stickings. I'll put this up on the screen so you can see what I'm doing here. But I am sticking to the stickings in the book. So I'll play that for you. 1, 2, 1, 2. So the second part of that is very, very tricky. I would suggest playing that over and over. It's hard not to get flat flams with that. Now you can also stick it like this. That's a little bit easier, but I'm not as fond of that sound as compared to single stroking it and alternating it as written. So let's play this solo slower for you at 102. 1, 2, 1, 2. The next solo on the page is called What Have You? And this is, again, a little bit of a tricky solo because of this accented figure in the second bar. And I'll play this for you. And I'm going to do this at dotted quarter equals 124. 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm playing that last note softly. You can play it loud. I just think it's kind of a surprise that way. So this reminds me of kind of the Sousa marches. I used to do some shows with this guy, Keith Bryan. He ran the Sousa band, and he had a certain way he liked these things to be played. He even traveled with his own snare drums. And I did some shows on the road with him as well as with the symphony orchestra. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about Sousa stuff and how the drummers alternated and how to play bass drum, Sousa, and also some xylophone things that I did with him. So this kind of thing is tricky, and you have to have the right tempo. That's very, very important. A lot of conductors conduct these marches at the wrong tempo. So this is a good tempo for that 124. You can do it slower, it just drags. So a march has to have a forward flow to it. These dynamics make this solo very tricky, especially in the second part of the solo. So that's tricky, and to do that, I play on the edge of the drum or closer to the edge for the soft stuff, not all the way on the edge because it's hard to get back, but I do that. So that will help you a little bit. All right, and this is good because there's not a lot of dynamics in this book. So these solos that have them, it's definitely worth spending the extra time on them. So we'll play this one a little bit slower. not the correct tempo, but just so you can see what's happening, at 114. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, very difficult to play at that tempo. That is not the correct tempo. You never play this at that tempo, but again, it's a great exercise. Finally, on this page, we have the Triplet Bass-Drum Beat. Of course, I don't have a bass drum here, but you know, the bass drum plays triplets in the first bar, which is pretty funky. So just imagine that's there. So here's quarter note equals 120 is a good tempo for this. 1, 2, 1, 2. It's got a few tricky stickings there. You see that double right in the first bar. So you just want to let that bounce and kind of ghost the other notes. So, because the bass drum is playing those triplets there, let that be dominant. The only other tricky part is the second to last measure, where you're doing that same figure. Now it has a flam. Just let that bounce, okay? So we'll do this slower for you at, once again, 102. 1, 2, 1, 2. So I hope you enjoyed page 41. We'll be back soon with page 42.